guys, welcome back to Kids Time. Today I'm gonna read you a book called Magic in the Making. Here you can see all types of bugs. The circus was in town and everyone in the city had a ticket. All the bugs in the audience were excited as they piled in under the big top and took their seats. P.T. Flea, the circus owner, stepped into the center ring. "Welcome to the world's greatest circus," he cried. "Enjoy the show." First came the clowns. Hamlet played a bumblebee. Slim and Francis were dressed as flowers. P.T. Flea watched from one side of the circus ring. Much to his surprise, none of the performers were making any mistakes. The following act was Dim, the giant beetle, and Rosie, his tamer. "Now," whispered Dim. Rosie nodded, and Dim let out a ferocious roar. "Roar!" Smiling, Rosie scratched him under his chin. Next, Tuck and Roll got shot from a cannon and began bouncing off the walls. For real. When they came to a stop, they slapped each other's hands and raced off, chattering in a language no one knew. "Wow," thought P.T. Flea. "I can't believe we're actually putting on a good show." Just then Manny the magician appeared in a puff of smoke. His wife and assistant, Gypsy, was at his side. I will begin performing my world-famous flower and seed trick," Manny announced. He put 3 flowers on a table. He placed the seed under one of them, then he quickly moved the flowers around. "Abracadabra," Manny shouted. But when he tried to find the seed under one of the flowers, it wasn't there. In fact, Manny couldn't find the seed anywhere. "I knew it was too good to be true," P.T. Flea muttered to himself. Luckily, Gypsy was ready. She spread her wings and quickly slipped a spare seed onto the table. After the show, Gypsy seemed upset. Rosie told her, "I'm sure Manny will do better next time." "It's not that," Gypsy said. "Tomorrow is our wedding anniversary. I don't think Manny remembered." Gypsy sighed. "He used to be so romantic." Watching Gypsy leave the tent, Rosie had an idea. She called the others together and told them her plan. The next day, Francis went to find Manny and Gypsy in the dressing room backstage. "P.T. wants to see everyone in the big top right away," Francis told them. Manny and Gypsy followed Francis into the circus tent. "Happy anniversary!" shouted Rosie and all their other friends. "Oh, how wonderful!" cried Gypsy. "What a surprise!" said Manny. "Ooh, let's start the party!" shouted a hungry Hamlet. "This guy's already eating." Rosie asked if Manny would tell the story of how he and Gypsy had met. Smiling at his wife, Manny began his tale. Manny explained that in those days he had been the star of another famous bug circus. One evening he was performing in the center ring when he sensed something unusual in the audience. He tried and tried but couldn't make out what it was. Then finally he saw it. A pair of beautiful violet eyes looking back at him from the audience. It was love at first sight. Manny was barely able to finish his act. When the lights came up, Manny watched the lovely moth with the beautiful eyes. It was, of course, Gypsy. As she turned to leave, he saw the magnificent markings on her wings. Enchanted, he followed her, but before he could introduce himself, something caught Gypsy's eye. It was a very bright light. Manny saw her move toward it, because moths love light. Manny knew that besides being bright, that light was dangerous. He had to do something to rescue poor Gypsy. Shielding his eyes from the light, he quickly flew from the shadows. Then he grabbed Gypsy and flew her to safety. Sheltered in Manny's arms and away from the light, Gypsy came to her senses. "Thank you," Gypsy gasped. "You saved my life." "Madam, it was my pleasure," Manny replied. Then he reached behind and magically produced a beautiful flower. "For you," he said to Gypsy. As Gypsy took the flower from Manny, she looked into his eyes. At that moment, they knew they would be together for a long time. The next day, Gypsy began working as Manny's assistant. Her beauty, her charm, the markings on her wings were all important parts of his act. Whenever one of Manny's illusions went wrong, Gypsy was always there to set it right. They made quite a pair, both on stage and off. Soon they were married. When Manny finished his story, he took Gypsy's hand and kissed it tenderly. Gypsy smiled back at her husband. "Thank you for saving my life, Manny." "Gypsy, I hope we'll make magic together for many years to come," said Manny. The others cheered. Gypsy gazed up at Manny. "I'll always love you," she told him. Grinning slyly, Manny turned to Gypsy. "My dear, I bet you think I forgot our anniversary." He picked up a cape and swirled it mysteriously. Suddenly, a flower appeared from out of nowhere. Gypsy beamed with delight. "Even after all these years, you still have a few tricks up your sleeve," she declared. The end. Thank you for watching this video.